which is in about 10 minutes from now, the Sedins will have their first media conference as part of Canucks management. Henrik and Daniel will be joining the front office of the Vancouver Canucks, and let's just break this down. Maybe we'll start with Joel, kind of get his thoughts, and then we'll kind of go Sean, Devin, and see what we are thinking about this.
Okay, so when I first heard that the Sedins were potentially, or at least negotiating in terms of trying to get into the Canucks management, it kind of scared me a little bit as a Canucks fan. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, you saw how sour that relationship with Trevor Linden turned out. And that was the one big thing when I first heard this story, a month ago or whatever, when it first broke, when we heard, the Canucks might be, adding the Sedins in some kind of capacity in the front office. I just thought, oh boy, I hope it's not a here we go again. But I think that in the positions that they're in, obviously, like, what are they, special assistants to the or special advisors to the GM, right? Now, in that capacity, in that role, that's obviously not a big, as big as a bite as team president and Trevor Linden tried to step into, right? With having almost no experience beforehand. I think that's kind of where it soured, and perhaps the Aquilinis kind of learned their mistake in saying, hey, like, these guys don't have any front office experience. We want to have them in the front office, but maybe instead of giving them, these top tier roles where somebody with a lot more experience could probably handle a little better, maybe we'll just kind of bring them in gradually and kind of get them used to the process here. Be around Benning, be around all the other scouts and see how the interworkings of front office management actually works before they, potentially move into some other kind of role besides special advisor to the GM. If they want to move up into, a dual role of team president or president of hockey ops or what have you. At least I like that this move gives them the opportunity to kind of learn on the job before being thrown to the wolves and just really holding their feet to the fire and seeing, hey, can these guys do anything, right? I feel like the way they're going about it with kind of introducing them gradually, letting them get used to the way everything works behind the scenes, that transition from a player to the front office isn't, it's not an easy thing. And you see a lot of really good and smart hockey people fail miserably at that, right? And I'm not saying that Daniel and Henrik will, but what I am saying is that, yeah, I really liked that there is an arm's length, that they tried to kind of keep them in the organization. They're going to hopefully build them into some kind of role that's more than what they're being given this morning, but to do that gradually and not have them set them up for failure, more or less.
Yeah, from what I was hearing, this was what they wanted. They wanted to start from more or less the bottom and work their way up and learn as they went. The way that Steve Yzerman did, Rob Blake did. Not necessarily Joe Sakic as well started in this special advisor role.
Absolutely.
I think he got fast tracked a little bit quicker than those other two, but I think they want to learn from it, and I think that's fine. That from what it sounds like is they're going to be focusing more on player development as well as the AHL team, the Abbotsford insert name here, and I think that's fantastic. I think it's a great place to start because if you learn about that and then you slowly transition into more of the administrative side with contract negotiations and trades, that and you surround yourself with smart people to do that, then they can learn a lot of that as they go. You do not want to throw them into the deep end like Trevor Linden did to himself and went go directly to the top as a team president because they don't have that experience. You want someone with experience in that role. So yeah, I think I'm excited for this because I think it has the potential to be something that they can build on and it can really help the organization. And I know some people are going to disagree with me on this, but I think this is low risk as well. Because if you go in there, say like we want to try it, and then a year later it's like, no, this isn't exactly what we were looking for, and they move on, that's nothing. To me, that's nothing. As long as it's as long as it's that. If there's any sort of issues, like legit issues, not just fans and media speculating, but legit issues that come out there, then that's something to worry about. But if it's just them going and trying it and then realizing it's not what they want, it's still a low risk hire here, and you still are going to get a little bit of a PR bump here. But I think if things go well, the hockey minds that the Sedins are and how they approach things, I think is going to be very good for the Canucks to have within the organization, even if right now it is just with the Abbotsford team and player development.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Overall, I think it's low risk. I think it's a good move by the Sedins and the organization to not get them overwhelmed with what they have to do as let's say what Trevor Linden did. But my curious mind is thinking, okay, are they going to be the first co-GMs ever in the NHL?
How could they not be, right?
How fun would that be? You know, I think that'd be kind of a cool adage if they do decide to pursue front office operations and climb the ladder. Like, you know, say for here in Calgary, Craig Conroy has done here as well. And he has been talked about potentially making that next step not within Calgary's organization, which could be a possibility considering Brad Treliving is potentially on his last legs here and he could step into that role, but for other jobs as well. And I'm not saying that you would see the Sedins leave Vancouver, because I don't think that's a remote possibility, because they love the city and their kids are there and all that stuff. So good on the Canucks for I think doing this properly and actually giving them the chance to thrive as a special advisor to the GM.
My concern, and I'm not saying this as a criticism, this is because I think I agree with everything that everyone is saying here. My concern is from the fan base perspective, and let's face it, we're about to hear tweets about what Jim Benning has stumbled through another press conference. We know that this is going to happen. But I'm concerned that there's going to be some fans that are going to expect the Sedins to take on more of that role, especially the front of camera role, than is necessary, if I'm making any sense. And it's because there is a consumer confidence issue with Jim Benning when he speaks. It's just I've said this before and I'll say it again. I honestly think Jim Benning would benefit greatly by going to Toastmasters. Seriously, he needs to go to and I say that as someone that has went to Toastmasters. It would be huge for him. But I think that there's so many people like, okay, look, Benny DeStammer again, where are the Sedins? Especially when things go low during the season and there's some sort of slump, and we need that inspirational. And I hope that I honestly hope that the Sedins don't spend a lot of time in the press other than today, where this is deserved, even maybe the draft, or some important times when it is. But I don't want to see a lot of Sedins in the media next year. I think that would be a detriment to their development.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise a little bit, having the Sedins be able to be, at the forefront in terms of either answering questions for the media or being on camera or what have you. Because not only are they comfortable with that, but it takes a little bit of that burden off of the shoulders of Jim Benning, right? Where, as you said, everybody knows Jim Benning isn't always doesn't always give the best answers when being asked questions by the media, because obviously we don't have all the information. I think moving forward, I'm kind of with you, where I hope that the fan base doesn't turn to the Sedins and be like, I want you guys to explain what these moves were. I want you guys to, be the forefront on camera, because that's not their job. That's not their responsibility. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're not the ones making the decisions and pulling the strings. They could tell Benning what they think until they're blue in the face, but it's still Jim's decision at the end of the day. And I feel that the person making the decisions, the person pulling the strings, should be the one responsible for having to address that with the media.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kev. I hope that they're not in front of the camera that often, because if the reports are true and that it is going to be player development in AHL that is their focus, they shouldn't be in front of the cameras to discuss anything but that. If they're discussing anything, if they're discussing potential trade, like long-term direction of the team or stuff that Jim Benning should be answering, that's a major red flag. The other thing is, I got a response to my tweet when I put out there saying I like this move, asking whether or not they're going to be the next GMs of the Canucks, and my answer is I hope not, because I think Jim Benning's on his last legs as the GM of the Canucks, and if it's one more year under Jim Benning, they're not going to be ready. You want them to take 2-3 even more years to slowly build up that the experience so that they can so that they're ready to take that role on when they get there. And so if you're looking at this as a potential succession plan, there is another step in between. There's going to be an intermediary between this current regime and then the Sedins if it happens. So I think that's one thing, is temper your expectations of what the Sedins are going to be doing. I really hope that they're going to be more behind the scenes, and I really hope that they're given the proper time to build up their experience in the front office and not be rushed into higher profile roles just because of where this team is and this organization is, and where the confidence of the fan base is with this current front office.